That's where we stand. Now, moving on into another sports arena, George and I are thoroughly excited to talk about college football. George, obviously, you're going to be at LSU in a couple weeks, and I know you're.
But it's in Houston. They're playing. Not a couple weeks. It's less than a week now.
Right.
Come on.
So George is ready to tip the table over with his heart on right now. But we're both excited about it.
Brush the front of my shorts.
Yeah. That too. Yeah, since he's not like Kevin, but knocking shit over.
But no one's playing jump rope with my penis.
But it's going to be the college football playoff is here, and we're excited about it. And some of the realignments that went on with the conferences this year, we're going to be seeing that. Obviously there were some changes in the Big Ten. It's exciting, and for all you college football fans out there, it's going to be very interesting to see this college football playoff go into effect and to see if it will expand in the years to come. We're going to go over the rankings as they stand right now, the ESPN rankings and USA Today poll, which is pretty much they're identical almost, and we're going to start at number 10, and that's Baylor.
High-powered offense, bringing a lot of weapons back. It's going to be run and gun and fun. You kind of know what to expect to get with Baylor. My biggest thing is, are they going to be able to stop anybody?
Yeah.
And then that takes us to the first SEC school in the top 10, which is South Carolina. And they open up with a tough game. They open up. Who do they open up with?
And we remember they lose their biggest threat on the defensive side of the ball. JV and Clown.
Yes, they do.
So and we all know the SEC is the toughest conference out there. Although the ACC is getting very close.
We get the very first game of our collegiate season. Like I said, Texas A&M, who is now part of the SEC, is playing at South Carolina.
Yeah, so it's
Thursday.
It's not a cakewalk by no means.
Love it. I'll be in Texas to watch that game.
Now, for all you people out there, one of the great things is that CBS obviously lost their deal with the SEC, and now the SEC is part of the ABC family and the ESPN family, so they have their own network. You will be able to see, if you have watched ESPN, and I'm doing a free promo for Watch ESPN, you're able to see these SEC games. That is some shit that will really get you excited. So that you're going to be able to see a lot of these games now. It's not just going to be your typical game on CBS at a certain time and then plugging it. You're going to be able to see a lot more SEC games.
Well, your next two teams are Michigan State and UCLA. You got one Big Ten school who now gets to deal with Maryland, the addition there, and then UCLA out there. No, I'm being serious. I'm being legitimate.
I thought you were being funny.
No, I'm trying to be nice. I'm remotely being serious because I actually care. Oops.
Yeah.
And then you have UCLA out of the Pac-12.
That's because your wife would like to go to that school. So you're going to have to start caring
UCLA?
about No, Maryland.
Why would she want to go there?
Well, would she like to go there for? Well, I guess she wouldn't now.
Right now.
But if she had a choice, in
the beginning she wanted to go there, but supposedly she wasn't good enough to go. She was the only one in her post-bac class who didn't get into Maryland.
It's funny because a client I train, he worked with the son is great grades, everything. Could not get into Maryland as well. Their medical school is they're like finicky as shit.
Right.
But anyway, UCLA, Michigan State's at 8, UCLA's at number 7.
Now, this school on the right-hand side is not the same on the left-hand side. They're flip-flop. But these next two schools, Auburn and Ohio State's fucked, period. End of story. Done.
Yeah.
Braxton Miller is finished. And like I listened
And you guys don't know who Braxton Miller is. That's the starting quarterback who was the senior starting quarterback for Ohio State. Went out he's done for the season.
Yeah, shoulder injury. He blew out a shoulder throwing the ball. Not contact, not fell down, nothing. Threw the ball.
And it's the same shoulder he fucked up last year.
Yeah, so he's done. And like Mike said, and like I've said about him last year, I don't think the guy could throw the ball in the ocean if he stood on the beach, but he's a hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
And he's a hell of a college football player. He wouldn't have been a pro.
Right.
And then you got Auburn, another SEC school.
Sitting at
and they're always going to be tough. I mean, Auburn and Ohio State are 5'6". They just flip flop. So
one poll 5, one poll 6,
Right.
and then that takes you to
Oregon.
the number 4 spot, which in the polls the number 3 and 4 spot are also flipped over.
That's the stuff you leave on our back, right? Spot.
Pretty much. You got Oregon and Oklahoma at 3 and 4, or 4 and 3, depending on what poll you're
Oregon's
looking at.
bringing the house back, and they got their Heisman hopeful in Mariota, so that'll be.
Oklahoma is a very interesting situation. They're bringing a lot of people back too. The one position that Oklahoma was really suffering at was wide receiver. So they went and got Missouri's receiver, and they were. I think Oklahoma, their program was convinced that this guy got kicked out, fucked up a little bit in Missouri. got caught with some reefer, got caught again with some reefer, with some guys that had some weed.
Some reefer,
And
dude. That's marijuana for
That's
anyone
marijuana for
in
people.
the age of, I don't know, 45.
Right. Trees, whatever you fucking
40.
want to call
Whoa,
it.
buddy.
Yeah, but he got caught with this shit, and Missouri's like, see you later, kick rocks, motherfucker. And now, Bob Stoops was like, damn, we need a receiver. And they're like, you know what, son? Come on over to Oklahoma. We don't care about all the weed you're smoking and the weed that you're fucking home. We don't give a fuck about it because we need a wide receiver. And we're thoroughly convinced that we're going to tell the NCAA that, hey, you know what? You were with some people in the car, and NCAA was like this. Stop. Hammer time. That motherfucker can't play for a year. So now it's not only the fact that they don't have that, they still are lacking at the receiver position, but is this kid even going to sit out a year and want to come back and play for Oklahoma?
Question. If I go to school in Washington State
Mm-hmm.
or Colorado, what happens?
George, that's a huge question because everybody is saying that. It's such. Someone was asking me about. We were talking about that with pro football. He's like, I don't understand how these guys are getting such penalties for weed when it's legal somewhere. And this is how I broke it down for him. I said with the NFL and the college football, there's certain things, just like there's a rule again. I cannot do certain things that could hurt you. There's rules. Like on the football field, I can't hit you with my helmet, leave my helmet. There are also rules that state that you cannot have this. Doesn't matter if the substance is legal or illegal.
Because it's a private business.
It's a private business. You cannot smoke marijuana. You cannot smoke it. You can't have that shit on your person. Okay? If there's Sinutab or some other thing
If
that
you
might
got that motherfucking script, dog, I got the doctor there. I need to shit for my glaucoma.
my glaucoma, I had to censor all this motherfucking phone, man. Puff pass. To my doctor, forgive me the script. But the bottom line is that they make these rules.
It's a private industry. Yeah.
It's a private industry, and we'll talk more about this when we talk about the pro football, about the whole Ray Rice situation and
Ray Rice.
Hmm?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought you said something else.
Yeah, and because it's a lot of people are in uproar about with domestic violence.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Next two teams are Alabama and Florida State. Florida
Right.
State's bringing everyone back. Alabama's got a problem at quarterback.
Yeah.
In other words, it's going to be a long, great season. You stay tuned in. We'll be right here. We'll do the heavy lifting. You watch.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what. If you're taking a team if you're picking right now, today, if you're picking your national champion, who are you picking?
Well, today, right now, you got to go Florida State.
So do
They're
I.
bringing everyone back. But the thing you have to look at is go back and look in history and see who the last team was that led wire to wire.
Now, this is the thing.
I think it was a Nebraska team.
Right. But this is the difference this year.
What a difference is.
The difference is that you don't have to be wire to wire anymore. Like you can,
Yeah, but you can't fall out of the top four.
but you can take a loss and you don't have the pressure. If you lose the right game, you'll still be in the top four.
What'd you just say?
If you lose the right game.
Right.
But I'm saying, but that's still a lot of pressure considering I have to go undefeated. You could lose two of the right games and still be in the top four in the SEC. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Suppose right now Alabama loses to somebody like at the beginning of the season like LSU, and LSU
It has to be in the first 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Has to be in the first 2 weeks.
and LSU goes all the way to the number one spot, and they're holding the number one spot, and then Alabama goes through everybody else, and they go to the number 2 spot, right?
Mhm.
And then they meet,
In the SEC title game?
and they lose. Do you think Alabama's going to slide to number 5? I don't.
Depends on who's behind them and what they've done.
I know.
That's the problem. It really depends.
It's-
Two
it's-
losses is going to be tough.
Yeah,
two
it's gonna be tough.
losses, a lot of crazy shit's going to happen, and then people are going to bitch and complain. And in all honesty, this shit should be 8 teams. It shouldn't be 4 teams.
It
I
should
think
be
it's
8
a
teams.
joke, but it's a starting point. So
Yeah.
I'm not upset with it.
And
It's a starting
it makes
point.
it more exciting. So
Right.
that's what we care
So
about.
the top 4
It's all
teams this
about
year
us.
get in. Yeah, exactly. Tune in for me.
Right.
That's why I watch.
Now, speaking of football, there's another type of